Alright, in our last video we set up an editable region. Looks like this. In this video we're going to learn how to set up an optional region. Now this is a little bit trickier and not necessarily all of that intuitive. And the reason why we want to do optional regions is so that we can have different layouts for different pages but still manage them using one template. So if we look at our website, let me do a preview. Actually, I'll come here and open up the About page. And then I'll do preview. What we can see here is we've got this layout where there's a main, which I think we set at about 68% width, and then next to it is an aside. But right now, if I just continue with the template as it is, then every page would have to have this layout. But what I want to have is on my home page and on my privacy policy and terms of use page, I want the content to be full width with no aside. So the way we do that with Dreamweaver is we need to set up two optional regions. One optional region will look like this, and the other optional region will be just a main that's 100% wide. So we're going to have to do a couple things to make that happen. We'll have to first set up the optional regions, but we're also going to have to change the HTML on our page and add a class for when we want the main to be 100% wide. Alright, so a couple steps that we need to do here first. We see right now, I'm going to close my About page and let's come back to the template page. Alright, so here's our template page. You'll notice we have a main and a main. And we also have an aside and an aside. So this really will become our first optional region. But so let's go ahead and do that. And I will just select all of the content that I want to become an optional region. And I come back over to Insert. Make sure this menu item is set to templates, and then I'm going to choose optional region. When I click on this, it's kind of strange. I have to sort of click on advanced first and then back to basic to be able to change this the name of this optional region. So I'm going to just name this. Now I think on this one you have to keep everything as one word. You can't have spaces. So let's call this main and aside. By having the checkbox show by default, that means that any new page that you create, it'll apply this optional region. I wouldn't worry about the advanced settings. I think all you need is the basic. So we have that named main and aside. And I'll go ahead and hit OK. So what it's done now is it's put in new comment tags at the beginning and the end to show where those are. I'm going to go ahead and make those a little clearer. So here was the beginning of that, and it looks like it changed all my optional regions again. I'll go ahead and fix that one more time. And I just like to have that so that I can see everything on a single line. So here we go. We have the beginning of our optional region there, and you can tell it's an optional region because it says template begin if, and then it'll go template end if. and I've got both my main and my aside nested inside those tags. And then nested inside my main, I have optional content. Alright, here's where things get a little tricky because I need to now make another editable region. So I'm going to give myself some more room. This time I'm going to copy my main. Go ahead and copy all of that code from main to main, and we're going to add another version of that. So you're saying to yourself, well, hey, I now have two mains on my template page, and that's fine, because what will eventually end up happening is when we assign pages with optional regions, we turn the optional regions on and off. By default, we've said that this one will be on automatically. We can see that because there's some more comment tags that it's put in for us up at the top. Here you can see parameter name, main and aside. That's the name of our optional region. And the value, the Boolean value, is set to true. So that means anytime we apply this template to any page, it's going to go ahead and give it a main and an aside. I'd say most of my pages probably will. I'll only have my home page and maybe one or two other pages where that'll actually get turned off, and I'll just have a main. So in this case, I just have a main, I don't have an aside. So let's go ahead and select all of this, and we're going to make our second optional region. So with this all selected, again, insert templates, optional region. And this time I'm going to call it main. Now, I don't know why, there's some glitches. For some reason I have to click advanced and come back, and then it lets me change the name. This time I'm going to call it main only. And I'm going to unselect show by default. So anytime I create a new page from a template, and I'll show you how we do that a little bit later, and probably in another video, then this will be turned off, but the other optional region will be turned on. On any page, we can turn optional regions on and off. It's just what is the default from the very start. So we call this one main only. Go ahead, hit OK. And it's now created a second set of content for us. All right, so let's. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I've got enough room. So you can see sometimes this starts to look like a mess. Did this do it right? So we got page content, template, and editable. Template begin if. Did this do it right? This may not have done it right. Let me Command Z all of that, because I want to make sure. I'm going to try it one more time. Make sure we do optional region. Turn the default off. And this one's going to be called main only. We hit OK. So here's where it starts. And I've got an editable region inside of it. And I'm just cleaning up the lines so I can see this a little bit easier. So we have the end and the main, and then we start our new template. Alright, I don't know if you can see that well enough or not, but this line of code starts our optional region called main only, and then it ends that right here. Our other optional region starts here. It's called main and aside, and it ends down here after our aside. We still have editable content in between both of our mains, so that doesn't change. That's good. Now if I come up to the header you can see that the optional region main and aside by default will be set to true, and for main only it'll be set to false. So that's how we set up optional regions in our Dreamweaver page. This is going to make a little bit more sense here in just a little bit, probably in our next video, when we apply our template to all of our pages. Now, before I wrap up this video, we've got an issue that we can think of already. In our CSS, we had our main be 68%. Where is it? Right here. At least when it's full width site. We're going to want to make that 100%. So what I'm going to do is we're going to create a custom style called main home. You can call it whatever you want, it's a custom style. But on this one, we want 100% width. Just a real simple custom style. I went ahead and put it next to my main since it mostly applies to a main. I could have also put it into my custom styles, but this is fine. It's going to work. Alright, go ahead and save that style sheet so we don't see the asterisk up here anymore. Let's go back to the source code for our template, and in this first optional region for the main, I'm going to add the class main home. Oops. There we go. So now anytime we apply this optional region, there won't be an aside, and this class will make our main 100% width. It's still contained within our wrapper. I think by default our wrapper has a max width of 1000 pixels. So this class will have the main fill up all the way to its parent, which is going to be that div tag with the wrapper ID. Alright, so let's go ahead and hit save. Says I got an error. Editable region of page content. Okay, so it's not liking this editable region. So let's go ahead and create a new one. I thought maybe we could just repeat it, but it didn't want us to do that. So when I copied this page content, I guess we shouldn't have done that. Sorry about that. Let's make a new one, and we'll just call this editable region. Well, first of all, make sure you deleted what I had in there before. Make sure you've got a line for code all by itself with the cursor in there. Let's go add that editable region again, and we'll just call this home content, or we could call it full width content, because I might apply this to other pages as well. Alright, so then I put that in. I'm going to clean up the code so that everything is on its own line and easier to see. There we go. So now we'll go ahead and hit save. Should be fine, and all is wonderful. And that is how we create optional regions in Dreamweaver. In our next video, we're going to apply our template to all of our pages, and then I'll show you how we can edit the content on those pages to make them unique.